back to Love Your Food. This week we have a very simple, basic recipe for you. This is our recipe for granola. This is similar to the one that Chef Caleb made at his restaurant. This is a nut-free granola. We're using just oats, sunflower seeds, and pumpkin seeds, pepitas. And very easy to customize. We're using honey, but you can also use maple syrup. But here's our ingredients. So we're starting with just the oats, just regular rolled oats. We have a little bit of cinnamon and some salt. Some raw unsalted sunflower seeds. You should be able to get that at a bulk store. Just regular brown sugar. Some raw unsalted pumpkin seeds or pepitas. Some honey. And just a small bit of canola oil. So the first thing we're going to do is over sort of a medium-high heat, we're going to melt our honey and sugar together. We're just going to add a little bit of water in there to help it along. We're also going to add the cinnamon and the salt and the brown sugar as well. We're just going to melt all of this together. Now, if you look in there and you decide that it looks not quite wet enough, then you're free to add a little bit more water. Most of the water is going to get boiled off in this process. This is perfect if you, like we do, have natural sugar that has crystallized somewhat, because this will use it up and you can melt it and it's going to be just fine. So we are going to combine our dry ingredients. So that's the oats, the sunflower seeds, and the pumpkin seeds. And we're just going to give that a good stir. We like to use a plastic one because the wooden spoons tend to collect a lot of dust from the oats, especially. And you just want to make sure you've got everything well combined in there. So as the sugar and the honey melt together, you're going to see it get kind of frothy. This is the last of the water boiling out of the sugar mixture. So you see here, it's about to get very, very frothy. And that's fine. You want to give it a good stir at this point. You don't want to burn anything, and you want to make sure that you're still making breaking up any little pieces of honey or clumps of spices. Now, once it's a little bit syrupy, you can see here it's a little thicker. We're going to add it directly to our dry ingredients. You can see it's still very, very, very hot. Hot sugar is nothing to laugh at. It is very serious. Do not get any of this on you. We're also going to add our oil. You can also use coconut oil for this if you want. It gives it a little bit of a sort of a nuttier aroma. And then you want to just give it a really good mix. Make sure that everything is well coated in the mixture. Doesn't take very long, and everything really comes together quite quickly at this point. So once everything is well combined, you can see here everything is just clumping together a bit. It's gotten a little bit sticky. The oil helps it to come away from the side of the bowl as well. We're just going to put this on a baking sheet. Now, you can use parchment for this if you have parchment. We're using Silpat, which also works extremely well for this. And we're just going to get that into a pretty thin layer so that it can all bake pretty evenly. So we're just going to spread that all out. And then once it's all spread out in a pretty thin layer, you want it all pretty even. This is going to go right into our preheated oven. So we're putting that into the oven to start at 350. We're going to start it at 15 minutes. And we're going to take it out. This is a great time to take a look and see how far it's progressed. You can see it's getting a little bit toasty. So what we're going to do now is we want to, because it's getting toasty around the edges, we're going to just do a little sort of snowplow and move everything from the edges into the middle. Make sure there's nothing in the clumps or in the crack between the edge of your Silpat and the tray. And you want to give everything a pretty good stir, just to make sure you're getting the slightly toasty edge bits into the middle, so that everything has a chance to cook evenly. And at this point, you have a choice to make. So if you like your granola to be kind of like clusters, if you like it to be little, like the little clumps of, like you'd get in cereal, you want to do what Chef Caleb's doing here and leave it a little bit of room from the edge and press it down pretty thoroughly and give it a little bit of a press. So we're going to do that on one side, and on the other side, we're just going to leave it loose without pressing it down, and that'll make it a little more, a little less clumpy. It'll make it much more sort of grainy. It flows better that way. But it's up to you at this point which one you prefer. And once that's all spread out again, last little pat down there. And once that's done, it goes back into the oven. Slightly shorter time for the second batch. We're just going to do that for about 10 minutes. And we did go a little bit over 10 minutes. I think it went to about 11 or 12 minutes. But you can see it's very toasty now. And this is the side that we did that we left just loose. So you can see it's much looser. What we're going to do is let the whole thing cool before we try and scrape up the other side, because while it's still hot, it's still very soft. It's not going to break into clusters at all. And right now it's not crispy or anything. It's still warm and soft from the baking. So after about an hour, it has completely cooled, and you can see here Chef Caleb breaking it up into clusters. It's basically like a fairly fragile granola bar. And that's really your choice. It's however you want to do that. And that's it. That's the whole recipe. It's really, really simple. Absolutely delicious. This goes really great in the breakfast jars we did on the channel a little while ago. And awesome with yogurt. It even works as a topping for things. As I said earlier, you can use honey. You can use maple syrup. There's lots of different ways you can personalize this and customize this. Absolutely fantastic. Really delicious. If you like this recipe, please do like and subscribe. And if you have any recipes you'd like to see Chef Caleb try on the channel, please let us know in the comments below. And remember to love your food.